What's up, guys? This is Kaz of Elevateyourcraft, and welcome to episode number 7 of the vlog. Today I want to talk about the double-edged sword that is repetitions when it comes to jump rope. And like any other skill, to develop it, it takes a lot of repetitions. It takes work. It takes just doing over and over again and getting in as many reps as you can. But what I mean by the double-edged sword is that when you're jumping and you don't exactly know how and what you're doing, then you can develop some bad habits as your training goes on. Because you don't really have a guide, or you don't really know what the ideal technique is, so things can actually develop, and then by doing a lot of repetitions that way, you'll reinforce bad habits. For example, one of the ones that I developed early on in my training is I would keep my right hand lower than my left while I was jumping. And I didn't realize it at the time, or I didn't realize why it was occurring, but the rope was catching on my left foot a lot more than I was comfortable with. And it was really only on the left side. I'm thinking something's wrong here. What is going on? And it wasn't until I actually trained in front of a mirror, which is a subject I'll get into in another episode, that I actually saw my technique. And I realized that, wow, I'm holding my right arm lower than my left, and that is what's causing all these catches on my left side, because it's affecting the arc of the rope. So by doing a lot of repetitions, it's really important to know how you're doing them and to strive for that ideal technique, that ideal repetition. And going back to those bad habits, the more that you reinforce them, the harder it is to unlearn them. And especially when you get into more difficult maneuvers, techniques, tricks, because there's always something that's more difficult that will demand a more solid technique. It will demand that you have your mechanics down. And then if you don't unlearn those bad mistakes, you'll have to go all the way back and really break your patterns, break your habits to unlearn it and then develop the correct technique. So the earlier you can be aware of what you're doing and how you're performing the repetitions, the better, because you can kill the beast when it's young, as they say, and then develop the right technique from the beginning. And there will definitely be a time where you suck. Your technique's off, your mechanics are terrible, and you just need practice. And that's fine. Of course that's going to happen. You need to build up the skill. But what's important is approaching it from the mindset that I always need to improve. What am I doing? How can I improve this technique? How are my mechanics? And then once you do that, once you set that mindset for yourself, you'll really be aware of it all the time, and you'll always try and make your technique better. And it'll be more difficult to develop bad habits that way, because you're always questioning your technique and striving for its ideal. In a few of the other podcasts, I talk about things like that, technique and different ways of developing new skills. So I really encourage you to check those out. But be careful with the repetitions, because rope is something you can do a lot of in a short amount of time, and each repetition counts. So the more quality reps you can do, the better. Because take it from me, it's really hard to break habits that you've reinforced for a long time. So the more you can approach it early and look at it that way, the better off you'll be. Okay, guys, so that was the double-edged sword that is repetitions. Be sure to check out the other podcasts. I'll be doing one on actually jumping in front of a mirror, and it's important soon. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.